Hello and welcome to Knitwear Design Diaries. My name is Andrea Gaughan and I'm a knitwear designer based in Asheville, North Carolina. And this is a monthly knitting podcast where I share with you what new releases I have out, what I recently finished, and what I've been working on. So this month I will show you a pattern that just came out pretty briefly, and then I'm going to talk for a while about an exciting special announcement, which if you follow me on Instagram you may have already seen, and it's that I'm going to be hosting a KAL with or actually it's not just a knit along, it's a make along, but we'll get into all that. I'm going to share all the details on that. And then I actually realized just setting up to film this that I actually do not have any new finished objects since last month, so we're going to skip over that part and get right into WIPs, of which I have many. Yeah, let me see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 WIPs, which is, for me, a lot more than is typical, and explains why nothing has actually gotten finished over the past month. So first, if you have been watching the recent episodes, I've been talking quite a bit about Kingfisher tea, so I'm not going to talk about it a huge amount. But this pattern did just come out, and this is what it looks like. It is a boxy open lace tee. It's worked in a sport weight cotton linen blend called Mojave from Kelbourne Woolens, and it is out now. That release was last Friday, and the release discount, if you ever want to get a release discount on my upcoming patterns, I always release my patterns on Friday and then have the release discount through the end of the weekend. So that's already over, but Kelbourne Woolens is generously offering 10% off the yarn for folks who want to order the yarn from their site and knit their own version. So you can use code KINGFISHER10 on the Kelbourne Woolens site, and I think they just recently restocked Mojave, so there's quite a few colors available, if I remember correctly, and I will link below the, I'll write down the code. It's just Kingfisher10, but I'll write it so you're sure to have the exact right code and the link to shop there. I am an affiliate partner with Kelbourne Woolens, so if you click on my link and go make the purchase instead of just going to the site yourself, I make a commission at no cost to yourself. And that's a really awesome way to help make knitwear design feasible with little bonus income streams like that, because I really am not a person who wants to get into like affiliate marketing and sending people to Amazon links or anything like that. Like, that is not what I'm trying to do for work. But if there's a yarn company that I genuinely love their yarn, think what they're doing and their business is great, and I can be an affiliate partner, that's something I'm happy to do. So through working with them, I'm able to get you that special discount for the release, and in the past they've offered discounts on Lucky Tweed when I've released patterns in that. So I'm very, very grateful for them to be working with me on that. So yeah, I'll link the pattern page and the yarn and the discount code on the yarn for the yarn all below. But that's all I'm going to say about that. If you're interested in more details about the tee and haven't seen my recent episodes, I talk about the fit and construction and everything kind of in depth there. So I'm going to skip right over that. And then I want to get into what I've been really excited to talk to you about today, which is an upcoming make-along that is going to start in just 4 days now, because today is Thursday. It's going to start on Monday, June 1st, and it is called the Summer Scrap-along, because it's got alliteration and we couldn't come up with a better name. But me and Gabby, who is on Instagram as Handmade by Gib, are both knitters in the Western North Carolina area, and she had previously run a Granola Girl knit along and asked if I would donate patterns as a prize. I was gonna say reward, not reward, prize. So like some of the people who finished were entered into or I guess everyone who finished was entered into a drawing, and one of the possible prizes was to win some free patterns of mine. So I've happily donated free pattern codes. Yeah, I just thought it's very nice that she reached out to me. And so that's how we met, and then we since have met up in person a couple times, and she is super sweet and nice, and I have hosted several knit-alongs in the past, but they're usually just for one of my patrons. I co-hosted a knit-along once with Nora Gaughan, and it was for, we each had a pattern. But this is the first time I'm doing a knit-along where you can basically knit whatever you want, but the theme is to be knitting something with either scrap or stash yarn with a focus on creatively using up scrap yarn. So it's going to be super, super open to interpretation what that means to you. And then it is, I have to keep catching myself. I keep calling it a knit-along, but it is a make-along because we said since it's not a specific pattern, you can absolutely join and crochet. I personally haven't crocheted in a very long time, so I tend to assume yarn things are knitting because that's what I'm personally doing, but you are more than welcome to join with any crochet projects. And then we decided we'd even open it up to sewing projects. If you have sewing scraps and want to make like a quilted scrappy thing or anything like that, like just join in. We're just trying to be gathering people who are doing fiber arts this summer and want to be using up the materials they have and kind of just creatively coming up with ideas of what would be good uses for materials that they already have. Because I know lots and lots of us crafters tend to accumulate and accumulate, including myself, especially since I do knitting for my job. I have a very, very large amount of yarn, and I don't view that as a problem, but I also want to make sure I'm continuing to use it and not accumulating and not using all this beautiful materials I have. So I'm very excited about this. I'm going to use it as an opportunity to knit several things. Well, I'm going to knit at least one thing. I'm hoping to knit 3 things, which I'll tell you about. But I'm just going to start with one and do them one at a time because I was like, I'll cast them all on, but already I have a lot of WIPs going on. I'm like, I don't think I'll enjoy myself if I cast them all on at once. I think I'll enjoy it if I cast on one thing and then aim to finish once a month. Okay, so let me back up and tell you about some more of the basic details. So as I said, it is going to begin, Summer Scrap Along is going to begin June 1st and then is going to go through the entire summer, summer being counted as June, July, August. I know it's not technically summer if you're saying from solstice to equinox, but people tend to, I feel like, think of summer as June, July, August. So it is going to go from the first day of June to the very final day of August, which is August 31st. So it's full 3 months long, and why we decided to do that is just to keep it open, that people can keep joining throughout the entire period of time, and that if, like both of us, they are having multiple ideas of things to work on, you can just keep doing projects throughout the entire time period. And then I know a lot of people have a lot more travel and maybe different unusual commitments during the summer compared to other times of year. So we want it to be super low stress. There's no get a specific project done in a specific timeline. It's just a long window of join us in trying to find creative ways to use materials you have to make beautiful fiber arts projects. So we are going to have prizes, which I'm just, well, actually we have one additional prize that I haven't even announced before right now. Well, I'll save announcing that prize because I want to make sure I get the details right. But the basic prizes is I'm just doing what I've done now for past couple knit-alongs, I think, is I'm just putting up prizes of local yarn shop gift cards, and there is going to be a $150 gift card prize, a $100 gift card prize, and a $50 gift card prize. And those are going to be to local yarn shop of winner's choice, and that is so that anyone anywhere in the world can participate, and then they can either choose a shop that's local to them that they like to go into, or a place that's convenient for them to order online. Instead of having physical prizes that need to be mailed out because international shipping can be crazy to figure out, and also so it's not to a specific yarn shop that may have very large shipping fees to a certain person. So that's just trying to make sure that the prize is something that anyone who wins could enjoy. And everyone who is participating is welcome to enter into the prize form, which is just when you finish your project to log that you finished the project and get entered into the drawing for the prizes. Everyone is welcome to put up to 3 projects. So you could make 15 hats, that's great, please do that. But we wanted to encourage people to make multiple projects, but we didn't want, you know, someone to make a ton of scrunchies or I don't know, something small and then just get disproportionately entered for the prizes over someone who knit 3 whole sweaters or something like that. So the point is just if you're making lots of projects, you can get more entries, but we're just capping it at 3. So yeah, I hope that makes some extra encouragement. If you have like a couple different projects you lined up, you can get entries for each one of those up to 3 projects. And then the prizes are just going to be selected randomly from all people who filled out the form. You just have to provide a picture of your finished object and how to contact you for the prize. That is going to be selected September 1st, the day after the final day of the knit along. So I think that is all I need to say about that. I have probably been editing in, or I'm sure I have been editing in some photos that I made for Instagram, so maybe the text didn't exactly align with when I was saying the information, but all that information is available collected in that Instagram post, and I will link that post below just in case you want to go and reference any of that or like save the Instagram post. And then the main thing is if you're actually very excited about this knit along, want to make sure you join as soon as it starts, and you're not already signed up for my newsletter, make sure you sign up for my newsletter. As soon as the knit along starts, I will announce it there. Oh yes, see, I didn't write down what to say about the knit along, but the important thing you might be wondering is, where is it happening? Where can I chit chat with other people? And there is going to be both an information channel and a chat channel in my Slack group. So that is what I've done for the past couple knit alongs, and people seem to have enjoyed that, and that's the way I run all of my test knits, which are kind of mini private knit alongs, I would say. It's kind of the same sort of concept, except for with more asking for feedback about the pattern as it happens. And if you're not familiar with Slack, I really like it. I find it very easy to use, but more importantly, I get consistent feedback from people who have not used Slack before, either joining one of my test knits or one of my knit alongs, that it's user friendly and easy to get the hang of. And once you have an account and are logged in, all you need to do, you can either set up notifications or just periodically check in with that chat channel. And it's just a big group chat with everyone who's participating, and it's a great place to introduce yourself, ask questions. So a common thing people will do will be like, oh, I made these 2 swatches, I'm thinking about this color combination or this one, what do you like better? And people love to chime in on stuff like that, so that's always fun. Or you can get just ideas of other projects you might want to make from seeing people sharing their ideas, and then along the way people tend to share updates of pictures of their WIP or how the project's going, and then sharing finished object photos when they're finished. And you're welcome to participate in the chat as little or much as you wanted. You could just knit your projects, submit the prize form, never participate in the chat, totally okay. The point of the chat is for it to be a fun thing. And you can also come join in the knit along, participate in the chat without any plan to ever finish anything, and that's also totally okay. The point is for fun, so we're trying to minimize the amount of rules that are, happening. Let me think. I feel like there's one other thing I should say about that. Oh, another question that has come up that we want to specify is fine is if that WIPs are fine. So that means if you already are working on a project that is using scrap or stash yarn, you're welcome to use that and join in, and you can still fill out the prize form when you're done. So you don't have to wait until, it doesn't have to be a project that was cast on June 1st or later. And then also another note is that if you want to buy yarn to supplement your scrap yarn to make a specific project, that's also totally okay. For example, if you want to do like a color work yoke and you have scraps of all the colors, but you don't have enough of like the background color of one yarn, and you buy the background color and then you scrap yarn for the actual color work portion, totally okay. It does not need to be exclusively 100% scrap yarn. If it is, that's amazing. But we just don't want to be too limiting, you know. Okay. All right, I think I really got it all. Let me talk about what I want to knit. So first up, I have a project already started that I haven't gotten to work on much at all the past few months, but I really want to finish for the fall. So I hope to actually get working back on this for the knit along. And this is something I wasn't sure if I wanted to make it into a pattern because it's kind of so basic. But I decided what I want to do is just make it into a free pattern on my website, because it's just a basic tube scarf that you seam together the ends, in a fun pattern. And then so that way if anyone wants to make it, I'll have the instructions for exactly how I made it, but I'm not gonna run a test knit or publish a official pattern in the way I typically do. So this is a scrappy, stripy scarf, and as you can see, it's huge. It's like I could almost honestly wear this as a tube top at this point, which is crazy. I did not think about that until just now. I'm like, I haven't knit on this a while, because I have knitted like an entire top worth. I should kind of try it on like that and see how it looks, but it's a little zany for me, or I probably would have done some shaping if my desired thing was tube top and not scarf. But what I want is a giant, big, wide scarf. So probably have it be like this long and then wrap around once and then come down the other side. And then I just cast this on in a circle, but I'm going to seam together this end, and at the other end I'm going to graft it shut. And it is in this really fun bubble diamond pattern, and all I'm doing is just switching colors every time I make a new row, and it is really fun to knit on. It's the kind of pattern like stitch motif where the vast majority of it is stockinette, and then it's just once every 8 rows, I think it is, you make these dip stitches that then make this 3D texture. So I hope you can see the texture is very 3D, which I like. And I think it will be super practical, like very warm for very cold days to be wearing it, and just some fun, bright pop of color to a winter outfit. I have not really knit all that many accessories. I have knit quite a few essential beanies, which is a just really basic rib pattern I've made, rib beanie pattern that I released. But I've realized, you know, I would wear more accessories if I had them. And a big thing I feel like I would wear lots of is scarves. But like this, I feel like it tends to be that a lot of the things I would knit for scarves, like, I just don't know that there are that many scarf patterns that need to be created. Like, and I tend to only knit things if I'm going to make a pattern out of it. So something if I'm like, well, it's so basic, you don't really need to write up instructions. It's just pick a cool pattern, knit a giant rectangle of it, you got a scarf. Or in this case, a tube, so that it's double-sided. But yeah, I think I would use more scarves. So I might keep doing ideas like this where I knit it up and then just release as a free pattern. Or I might just see if I maybe do something like cables that does have like actual charts you'd follow, if I did release that as a pattern, if that would be a thing other people are interested in. Because that is another thing I want to do, is like a really chunky cabled scarf. So I'm making this out of fingering weight scraps, which I have lots of, and then make with the double layer fabric of really good thickness. I think this whole tube construction with a much heavier weight would be this whole scarf would just be so heavy. But it does take an extremely long time to knit because this is already like as much knitting as a fingering weight tank top would have been. And I'm probably gonna knit this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like 5 more of this much knitting. So it's a lot of knitting, but it is basic, just basic, easy stockinette for most of it. It's something I think I'll wear a lot, and it's gonna use up a bunch of yarn that I just had available. I have a whole pile of it over there that I picked out all the colors I wanted to use, but there's like 20 little skeins and half skeins over there, so I'm not gonna try to pick those up to show you. So that is project 1, and so maybe I will try to just make some progress on this along the way and exclude that from my what I said I'm only gonna do 1 project at a time. I'll only do 1 new project at a time. How about that? So 2 new projects I want to cast on and do are going to be new versions of patterns I've already released. So the first one I want to do, well, the first one I'll show you, I'm not sure which order I want to do them in, is I want to make a scrappy version of my checkered vest. This is knit up in Rerum Natura's Gilliatt, and I have this yarn now in quite a few different colors for swatches I made. I've knit now 3 projects in this. 2 of them had 2 colors each. I got yarn for another version of this, like in blues, that I decided I liked the blue colors, but I just didn't want one that was all blue. It was a dark blue and a light blue together. And as I kind of started working on this, I was like, I just don't think I'd wear it. Blue is not my color of choice. But I think the blue would look nice mixed with other colors. So I think at least 2 different testers made really cool scrappy versions of this in the test knit, and I am going to do the same now. So this is a vest that's knit in intarsia. So it's not stranded color work. If you're familiar with stranded color work, you carry the same colors across the row. So typically that's done with up to 3 colors in a row. But with intarsia, you can have every single one of these squares being a different color because they're not carried. You pick up and drop a yarn as you work a section, and then on the way back, it's the panels, the front and the back are knit flat, and then on the way back, you just, again, switch yarns each time you come to the block. And if you have never worked intarsia before, I think this is an excellent first intarsia project because you're just changing colors at the same exact point in every row, and then after a certain number of rows, you just switch the locations of the color. But there's no complex charts you're following or anything like that. And then the pattern has instructions included to make the back either in a solid color or in checkers. I did a solid color, which is like for Argyle vests and other like this style of vest that's more like traditional, classic, vintage. They will commonly have this solid back and then patterned front. So that's what I did for my sample. But I'm going to, for my patchwork version 1, which is what I want to call it, I'm going to do both the front and the back in the intarsia motif and have a bunch of different colors. Tomorrow or this weekend, I'm going to dig into my yarn and decide exactly which colors. So I'll be posting on Instagram and sharing it inside the actual chat for the knit along when it begins on Monday. But I was not ready today. It's gonna kind of explode my yarn stash to start getting into seeing which colors I want to use. But I think I'm probably gonna use at least like 5 different colors because I think I have the amount of this yarn in at least like 7 to 8 different colors. So I'll see if I like them all together or I want to exclude a couple to get kind of a general color palette I like, but I kind of want a scrappy patchwork type look to this. So that is project 1 I'm excited about. And then the second project I want to do is make a second version of my most worn sweater, which is the front porch pullover. It's a bit wrinkly just from hanging up. I like kind of fold it and hang it up. And this is just an extremely basic top-down drop shoulder sweater. It's modified drop shoulder shaping, which means that there's sloped shoulders, and then larger sizes have some armhole shaping so that the sleeve starts at the same part on the arm, or roughly the same part across the size range. For sizes like A, B, C, it goes down a bit, but then I think around size D, which is roughly like a size XL, there's kind of a limit to where the sleeve, the body ends and the sleeve starts, and it just doesn't keep getting bigger for all the sizes. But for size A, it is higher up because the body is just only so wide. You would have to have a ton of ease on a size A to get it down to here. So this is size B, and I love, love, love the fit of this. This is very oversized, boxy, loose, and I knit this one quite cropped. I think I knit it nearly like 3 years ago now. I really like it. I think it's very practical, but I do want to make a non-cropped version this time. I feel like I love a good crop. I love cropped garments, but I think I am leaning away, as many are, from the cropped sweater look so much, unless it's like a cardigan you'd be layering. And I'm trying to do more full-length sweaters, but crop tanks, I'll be doing crop tanks till the day I die. Who knows if that's true, but that's what I feel like right now. Anyway, this I still find very practical to wear, but I do think in the coldest time of the year, having a full-length one would be more practical. But honestly, the cropped length is kind of nice when I'm throwing it on like not freezing cold day, but a day that has like a chilly evening. It kind of just keeps it from being like totally overheating. So this is knit it to a DK weight, but I knit my sample in Knitting for Olive's merino held together with their silk mohair, and then that fingering plus mohair combination is what I want to do for my sample. But I'm still not 100% sure on exactly how I want to do this. I want to do scrappy stripes is my idea. This same sweater, but full length and scrappy stripes instead of solid. But I'm not sure yet if I want to find colors where I have a mohair and a fingering weight in a similar color and do the stripes of like a solid color, or the other thought I had was I have some Knitting for Olive mohair in like a cream color, but probably not a whole sweater quantity. I might get more of that and then do scrappy fingering weight yarn and have the fingering weight yarn be scrappy stripes, and then do the same cream colored mohair. I think that would be really nice to like kind of tie them all together in a more like soft, cohesive look. Another thing I was a tiny bit worried about with the different mohairs I have, how different the fuzz level is going to be, because I want the colors to be scrappy, but I don't really want the stripes to be like some are really fuzzy, some are less fuzzy. I want the look to like of the fabric to be pretty consistent and just the colors to be changing. Because I do have also some Surrey in some different colors, but I don't know if the Surrey is really going to be comparable weight-wise to the mohair. So probably what I'll do is actually do some my gosh, my words. Scrappy swatching with what I got, and make that call if I want to get some more mohair to do the white mohair all over, or if I think it looks good to do the different types of mohair, because I have the mohair is from different brands, and I feel like the fingering weight yarns, I'm not worried about how different they'll look, but I think the lace weight mohairs can vary quite a bit in how they kind of look. Like this has a very nice halo, and I love, but it's not like exploding fluff out of it, which I really, really like. Well, this has been worn quite a bit, and I feel like it kind of self-adheres a bit, the mohair. Like it's not poking out so much, but if you've knit with mohair before, you know sometimes there's just like crazy amounts of hair popping out, and I think that would be really noticeable in the stripe. So we're gonna do some experimentation, but fingering weight colorful scraps is something I just have a huge amount of colorful fun fingering weight scraps, so that'll definitely be used, and we'll see what the mohair element ends up being. So I'm very excited to knit both of those. Both of those are things I had already thought about that I would love to knit, but it can be harder for me to justify a project that's a additional version of a previous design versus knitting a project that's a new design I want to do, because I always have just way more designs I would love to do than I have time to knit. So I already have to make a call about which projects I want to prioritize, and it's hard to justify prioritizing a project that wouldn't result in a new pattern. So I'm excited that this knit along is going to be an opportunity to get myself knitting some things that I'd be very excited about, and I think that I would get lots and lots of wear out of. Okay, so I've talked about that for quite a bit. So I'm going to move into talking about WIPs. But I honestly think only one of them is new. I think the rest are just progress updates on existing WIPs. So I'm gonna run through those like a bit more quickly, but kind of just show you what this past month I've been actually knitting on. So one that I'm really excited about, that is kind of my most for fun project, is this new version of Bloodroot, which seeing it on camera, I'm like, oh, the stripes are looking so cool. So I was working on the yoke of this last time I filmed, and now I have about 2/3 of the body done, I think, because I'm going to keep this cropped. I might be a little delusional there. It might just be more like half the body. But I would love to finish this by the end of next weekend, which is when this knit along ends. Which is why I am doing what I just said I don't normally do, which is knit additional samples after a pattern's been released. I'm knitting this as a part of the Bloodroot knit along, which is currently happening. I don't know if that's realistic. That's like a week and 3 days. Do you think I could finish this in a week and 3 days, fingering weight ribbing? I think I could if I didn't have to knit anything else in that week and 3 days, but I do have other things I need to knit in that week and 3 days. So, but I'm gonna try my darndest to get pretty close. So all I need to do is finish the body, knit collar, and then I'm just gonna do quite short sleeves. So I'm probably just gonna pick up and knit like about 1 inch or so on the sleeves. And I'm really thrilled about how the striping pattern turned out. I spent a lot of time deliberating different color options on this. These colors are all knitting for Olive, and it's a sort of scrappy project, or sort of stash project, in that I had 3 of these colors. I had the rust, the brownish red, the green, which is eucalyptus, and the blue, which is called petroleum green, I think, even though to me it's a greenish blue, but it's solidly blue. Or maybe it's called petroleum blue. Anyway, I can write the color names down below. But I had those 3, so I had these 3 between my fingers, and I wanted to add some other colors in to kind of complement them and give it like a scrappy, colorful stripe retro feel. So I ended up getting this chocolatey brown and this mustard yellow to round out all the colors. But I really, really like knitting for Olive, and I like, as you can see, just doing colorful fingering weight things, so I figured getting some more of those yarns, even though I'm not going to use up the whole skeins, I can just do more, perpetuate doing more and more, mixing together different fingering weight yarns, because it's a weight I really like for tees and summery garments, especially. And I feel like especially having a yarn I really like knitting for Olive, I'm kind of adding to my palette of available colors over time. And they do have so many beautiful colors. So thrilled with how this is starting out, having a lot of fun knitting on it. Hopefully this will be a finished object at least by the next time I am recording. And then the next thing is what I've been knitting on the most in the past month, which is my Wild Ginger tea, which was barely started last time, but was started. And this is now nearly done, but not done. And it's kind of looks really nearly done because I just need to fold and sew down this bottom hem. But I decided I'm also going to redo the collar just to have it a wee bit looser. So this is a loose tee. It's all crinkled up for being in my bag, but this fabric is amazing. I did a mid-project block to kind of assess the fit and how some different aspects were looking, and how the bottom edge was looking, which I didn't like how it looked, and I undid it and I'm redoing it. But this is knit in Gepard Wild and Soft, which is a silk merino blend, which I believe this is the first time I've ever knit something in a silk merino blended yarn. I think Cotton Lino from The Wandering Flock includes silk and merino. Maybe it doesn't involve. Oh yeah, that's what I'm wearing. Oh, I'll save that for the end. I didn't even talk about what I'm wearing. Yeah, so the silk content in this just makes this fabric so luxurious and nice. Oh, and I feel like the wrinkles are making it not be well represented because I know I'm going to block it again, so I haven't been worried about it getting wrinkly in my bag. But it's just so drapey, and hopefully you can see there's like a bit of a sheen to it. And this fabric is just gorgeous, and it's very nice fabric before blocking, but I feel like blocking is quite transformational for this yarn. So this tee is knit with a continuous set and sleeve construction, and since I talked so much about the knit along today, I won't talk too much about this, but hopefully next month I will be wearing this and it'll be finished, and I can maybe talk a bit more about the construction and all the details. And I've been doing a lot of fiddling with this one, I will say. I've been doing a lot of undoing, redoing, trying to get it just right. But I think I'm close. I think if I finish this bottom hem, redo the collar, so you can kind of see like the collar's kind of tugging in on the rest of the fabric where the rest of the fabric's all drapey. But I kind of want to change the way I did the neck shaping, which I'm feeling very conflicted about, because changing how I did so I'm not going to change the shape of the neck, but just where the increases are. I have them out a couple rows. I want them to go in a couple rows. That's going to involve knitting an entirely new sample, which I'm planning on doing a stripe sample, but I feel like the neckline of this one isn't going to represent what the neckline really looks like. So that's something I'm kind of debating, like, do I keep it the same because then the sample doesn't reflect the actual pattern? Do I change it and re-knit this entire thing? Do I change it and just put a note, the red sample or the brown sample, whatever you call this, has extremely slightly different neck shaping? We'll see what I end up doing for that. But generally, I'm very thrilled with how it's coming out. I just have been fiddling with the small details to get it just right. And another thing that I had just recently started when I recorded last time, and I've made a good bit of progress on, is my HEMLOCK pullover. Which this is even another project in Rerum Natura's Gilliatt, which is another reason I have this yarn in many different colors. And even though I'm not finished this yet, I know I'm going to have some left over this green, so I think I'm going to include this green in the scrappy patchwork checkered vest. So this is a sweater that's knit in this all over 1x1 stripe, which means there's just one row of each color, and then it makes them look like actually little mini zigzags because of how knitting looks, which I think is a really, really cool effect. And I have just recently finished the front and back and joined for the body, so I'm just going to be knitting the body of this in the round for quite a long time. And my hope is that this is going to be my first sweater release of the year in September. It's pretty heavyweight for a September pattern, being worsted weight, but I feel like if you're knitting a pattern that comes out in September, you're not going to be wearing it till at least October, November. So I think it's still pretty appropriate. And hopefully by September people will be back on their getting excited about sweater knitting after the hot summer. And of course I'm going to have a color in here, and I'm going to have the color being green, so there'll be contrasting edges in green to this green and white stripes, which as you can see kind of at a distance, it looks very different close up than at a distance. It doesn't look necessarily like a solid color, but I feel like if you're really looking at it from further away, it almost gives an effect more of like a marl or something, where the colors like seem to be more blended. Although I feel like the camera makes that look more extreme than it looks in real life. But this is very, very fun to knit on. It is basically a variation on a vest that I released called South Slope Vest. But since quite a few things are changing, I just gave this a new name, and it's being called HEMLOCK Pullover. But if you're familiar with my pattern South Slope Vest, it's basically a pullover version of the vest. And it's going to be drop shoulder, boxy, relaxed. So maybe all 3 of these WIPs I've showed you will be finished next month. Hopefully at least the first 2. I've been really enjoying knitting on all these, but because of the knitting on many different things, progress is slower on each, and I'm feeling ready to start some new things and get those off the needles and get some fresh things to look at and knit on. And then I have one project that I have actually started since last time, but I feel like it's kind of cheating because I realized I actually need to frog this because I messed up like right at the beginning, but luckily I caught it early. But I still wanted to show it to you because I'm very excited about this yarn. But I showed a top that is now in testing called Honeysuckle top, and it is a brioche tank top, and my original sample has dramatic A-line shaping, and I decided that the exact pattern with straight shaping would also be very nice, and a substantial enough difference that it was worth making a second sample to demonstrate that. And also the Wandering Flock has released new colors of cotton lino, which is what the top I'm wearing in is knit in, and also what Honeysuckle is knit in. And I loved this new color called D'Anjou, which I believe is a variety of pear. So it's like a pear green, like a very yellowish green, and it's so pretty. I was like, I have to knit something in this, but I could not justify knitting a new design for this summer, so I thought it would be perfect to knit a second sample of Honeysuckle, and it's going to have the same brioche all over, straight neck, bow tie shoulders, but it's just going to have a straight, more cropped body. I'm very excited about that, but I did mess up the spacing of these increases. I did 2 right in a row here, so I already have to frog this and restart, which is kind of why it's so small, because I luckily caught the mistake soon, but I got kind of demoralized. I was like, I was getting such a good start, and I've just delayed actually frogging that and restarting too long. But I really need to get some of my other projects kind of cleared off my needles to get some room in my knitting time to work seriously on this. And then that pattern is going to be released in July. Okay, I think I've showed you everything I wanted to show off to you today, but I will now tell you about what I'm wearing, which I completely missed talking about at the beginning because I was too excited, I guess, to jump into the knit along. This is my pattern that was released last spring called Mountain Laurel Top, and is knit in that cotton lino yarn, which is a sport weight blend from the Wandering Flock. This color is called Sienna. Yeah. Burnt Sienna? I think it's just Sienna. Anyway, I'll have it written below. But this yarn makes such a gorgeous fabric. It's so nice to wear. It's very next to skin soft. I don't have sensitive skin, but this is like, I think anyone would enjoy wearing this. And let me tell you exactly, I can never remember exactly what this blend is because it has so many different things in it. It has 4 different fibers all blended together. So it's 35% organic cotton, 30% mulberry silk, 20% linen, and 15% baby alpaca. So it is not merino silk. It has silk and alpaca as well as linen and cotton. So if you didn't catch all that, that's all the fiber content of this. And this is, I had an extra skein of the color I used for my first sample, especially because well, I always have to overestimate how much yarn I need with knitting my own patterns because there's no yarn table to tell me how much yarn I'll need. But especially with the brioche, I was like, it's gonna eat a lot of fabric. The fabric eats a lot of yarn. Like, for how large of a top it is, it requires more yarn than a stockinette would, by a notable amount. Anyway, I substantially overestimated and have a full extra skein, but like with knitting for Olive's merino, I love this yarn, so I'm like, having some different colors of the same yarn, you could just make a really cute stripy version. I feel like stripes of this along with that pear color would be really cute in a future project, so I'm sure this yarn will get used up in something creative in the future. We might just have to keep doing more of the scrappy knit-alongs because I feel like that is something we'll just continue to need. But anyway, I'm getting to rambling here. So this top, if you stayed all the way till the end here, I'm gonna do a little discount just for YouTube viewers on this because I saw some other YouTube knitter designer do that, and I thought that was a great idea. So from now on, if I'm wearing something that is not a new release, so if it's something from a previous season, I'll do a little bonus YouTube subscriber discount. So you can use code YouTube25 to get 25% off Mountain Laurel top through the next week. So until next Thursday, and I'll have that written in the description. And this is cable and lace, but if you're new to cable and lace, it's like the most basic version of each, and it's knit bottom up. So you really have a long time just knitting a tube to get really comfortable in the stitch pattern before you have to do shaping. And then you just do very basic decreases at the underarm and at the neck. Yeah, and I think the result is very wearable and comfortable. I feel like I don't wear it as much as I should because I kind of feel like it's one of my fancy clothes, which is really funny because there's no reason it needs to be. But like, I put this on today because I was filming, but I feel like typically I will wear it if I want to be like, oh, I want to feel more dressed up, but I could just wear it any day. So I need to get that idea out of my head. And even though it has some lace and kind of that sheen, like, this can just be an everyday piece. I don't need to only save it for special occasions. So, but I feel like it's almost a compliment why I don't wear it frequently enough. It's because I viewed it as too special. So I had to say, I gotta wear the special stuff all the time. Okay, so I said this already about the make along, but if you're interested in test knitting any of the things that I've talked about today, or you're interested in making the pattern when it comes out, or interested in the make along, then my newsletter is always the place where I'm announcing things as soon as a test call is open, as soon as a release happens, as soon as a knit along begins. So if you're interested in being notified or kept up to date with any of those things, or don't want to miss something, be sure you sign up for my newsletter. And then next month I will be back here and showing you updates on everything I've knit, and then I also have some patterns I've been writing and swatching for, which I've not yet cast on, so I will hopefully have some very new and exciting things to show off next month to you as well. Alright, well, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will talk with you next month. Bye!